Howdy y'all, welcome back. The squeeze is on, it appears. An old friend I reconnected with recently asked me the name of my YouTube channel as they had never seen it before. I told them to simply search for Jared Boosters. I was surprised to hear that upon searching for my YouTube channel on the most popular search platform under the videos category, none of my videos appeared in the video search. To test this, I searched the same search engine. I was shocked to see that none of my videos appear upon searching my YouTube channel name. Rather, we have all these other YouTube videos, some with less than 100 views, which are recommended. It is not until the 4th or 5th page of these search results that one of my lesser viewed videos appears. This is a video with maybe 12,000 views, and I have other videos that have over 600,000 views. This is beyond coincidence, as none of these recommended videos have anything to do with the search term Jared or the search term Boosters. Effectively, my hundreds of videos with tens of thousands of unseen old world images are being hidden from potential new viewers, and that deeply saddens me. I thrive on searching for the oldest, rarest, and most unique photographs of the most important cities found throughout the world. The history, both current, narrative accepted, and the seldom discussed history often blend together to create the fuel for the videos that I produce for YouTube. Today, I've come across one of the most detailed and extensive panoramic photographs of any city which I've ever seen before. To accompany, or rather, to help set up our dive into this unbelievable piece of old world history, I have accumulated for you over 100 unique old world photographs of Lyon, France. This includes images related to the Roman infrastructure of Lyon and Lugdunum, as well as some never-before-seen photographs of the funiculars of Lyon. I'm going to dive into the currently accepted timeline of Lyon as we go through these photographs together, before wrapping up the video with the incomprehensible panoramic shot of Old World Lyon. So let's get right into it. Lyon began accepted history as a pre-Gaelic settlement in the Neolithic time period, with permanent occupation by Gaelic tribes from the 4th century BC onward. There is proof of trade with Italian tribes from Campania well before the Roman conquest. By the 2nd century BC, the Romans had conquered southern Gaul. During Caesar's conquest of Gaul from 58 to 53 BC, we're told the area that became Lyon is never mentioned. After Caesar's abrupt passing in 44 BC, a war of succession broke out amongst the Romans. The Roman Senate ordered the founding of a retirement settlement in Transalpine Gaul to influence the retired Roman generals and their soldiers who are said to have remained with their general in retirement. This was to influence the caste of them to remain loyal to the crown of Rome and to oppose Mark Antony. Their subsequent Roman retirement town became known as Lugdunum. To break down this name further, it appears Lugdunum was a pre-Roman name for the area related to the Celtic king of their godly pantheon known as Lug. The Proto-Celtic can be related to Proto-Indo-Aryan, where a form of Lug can mean to swear an oath, to break an oath, or swarthy, black. Traditionally, Lug is related to Mercury, and depictions of Lug have also been compared to the later Roman deity Janus, both Lug and Janus most often being depicted having 2 or more faces. Speaking of this duality, or of two, Mercury is the controlling body of Gemini, the twins, in astrology. Lugdunum would then mean Lug's fortress, Lug's castle, or simply the fortified mound of Lug. At the time of Rome founding Lugdunum, we're told the population was already over 1,000. We're told within roughly 25 years, or by 20 BC, the first of at least 4 Roman aqueducts were completed supplying water to Lugdunum. Within 50 years, Lugdunum had become the center of Rome's power in both Gaul and Germany. Lugdunum was described as one of the most powerful cities in the world, sitting at the junction of 4 major Roman roads: a road to the south to Greater Italy, a road to the north to Greater Germany, a road to the northwest which led to the English Channel, and a road to the west which led to the greater parts of Gaul. Lugdunum retained strategic importance to Rome for at least 4 centuries, becoming the sole gold and silver mint of the entire Roman Empire by 12 BC. Lugdunum also became the location for the annual meeting of the notables that same year, a title it held through the reign of Nero, who moved the mint back to Rome. Essentially, Lugdunum proved essential to Rome and was the de facto capital for all intents and purposes of the Three Gauls, as the amphitheater of the Three Gauls was located in Lugdunum, as well as the basilica, the forum, the temple, a circus, and all of these Roman creations laid the way for more than 70,000 citizens to call Lugdunum home. 2 Roman emperors were born in Lugdunum, including Claudius, who just so happened to rule directly between 2 of the most infamous Roman leaders in history, Caligula and Nero. Speaking of Nero, we're told by the year 59 the ancient Gallic city of Lugdunum had completely burned to the ground, only to be strategically rebuilt under orders of Nero. In 177, we have the persecution in Lyon of Christians. This, mixed with growing tensions within Rome's power vacuum, led to the 197 Battle of Lugdunum, said to be the largest Roman civil war of all time. To give context briefly, Emperor Pertinax was disposed by the Praetorian Guards after just 3 months in power. Illustrating the greed at the height of Rome, the empire was then literally auctioned off by the Praetorians to the highest bidder, who became Didius Julianus. The plebeians, disenchanted, called upon Pescennius Niger, the leader of Roman Syria, a land which included modern Syria, Lebanon, and Turkey, to take control of the Roman Empire. Pescennius claimed himself emperor, controlling 10 legions. Meanwhile, Septimius Severus, who ruled over much of Eastern Europe, was declared emperor by his loyal legions. Severus planned a long march to Rome to claim the throne and avenge Pertinax. On the way, Severus met with Claudius Albinus, leader of Roman Britannia, which at the time included England, Wales, and Scotland. Severus declared himself emperor, or Augustus, and declared Claudius Albinus as Caesar, or heir to the throne. Didius, the man who had purchased the Roman Empire, quickly lost support. By June of 193, he had lost his life to one of the new soldiers he had put in place. Severus, on his long march to Rome, was then named the Roman Emperor by the Roman Senate before even arriving to the city. Once in Rome, Severus quickly gathered his troops and planned a counterattack on Pescennius Niger, who was also marching on Rome to claim the empire. Once Severus defeated Pescennius, Severus attempted to make his claim to the throne stronger and named his son Caracalla as heir, or Caesar. This obviously enraged Claudius Albinus, who had pledged loyalty to Severus under the auspices of being next in line to the throne. When Albinus claimed himself the true Augustus, or emperor to Rome, around Christmas time of 195, the stage was set for war, which would encompass nearly all parts of the known world at that time. Claudius Albinus and his over 40,000 troops from Britain, Scotland, and Wales marched to Lugdunum and were joined by Lucius Novius Rufus, leader of Hispaniana Tarraconensis, which included most of Portugal and Spain, with Rufus as commander of its associated Gemini legions. Mind you, Lugdunum, or modern Lyon, was the crossroads to all of the vast kingdoms of Rome. Severus, on the other side of the battle, was backed by the Roman Senate and was joined by the Danubian and German legions. Estimates of the battle vary wildly, but it's agreed at least 55,000 men fought on each side, with Severus's side being the larger group. Some estimated over 150,000 men stepped foot on the battlefield. The Battle of Lugdunum raged for over 48 hours, which was unprecedented for a battle at that time, as the fighting was almost entirely hand-to-hand combat. As a result of the battle, which was a victory for Severus, Britannia was divided in two, and Albinus and Rufus were both killed, with their bodies put on display throughout the Roman Empire. Lugdunum, while not a stronghold for either side, became the apple of Severus and his ridicule. We're told Lugdunum, or Lyon, was renovated severely, with any symbols associated with Albinus or his people being obliterated, and most of the buildings in Lugdunum being modified to humiliate Albinus, Rufus, or any of the people from their vast sections of Rome. Essentially, Severus divided the kingdom further with his tactics. Lugdunum, through dialect changes over the course of hundreds of years, would become known as Lyon. By 478, Lyon becomes the capital of the kingdom of the Burgundians. Interestingly, the Burgundians are considered to be a Nordic Germanic tribe who migrated from Scandinavia, with their sights originally being set on conquering the cities of Worms, Speyer, and Strasbourg, just to name a few. If you know anything about those cities just named, you'll know each has an important history tied to the architecture and technology of the massive cathedrals founded in each. Could that have been what the Burgundians came looking for? Or rather, could they have been the ones that left behind the infrastructure that's so often credited to the Romans? But I digress. By the time the Burgundians had conquered these cities, they were granted Lyon by Emperor Honorius. The history of Lyon then goes relatively dormant through the Dark Ages. The next major timeline detail arises in the 12th century, and that's when we begin to have a lot more information funneling out of Lyon. In the 12th century, we have Peter Valdo, who was supposedly born in or around Lyon. Valdo is famous as the founder of the Poor Men of Lyon. Essentially, the Poor Men of Lyon was a secret society believing that no man was above another, and they sought clarity by giving away any wealth which they accumulated, a tradition that was begun by their founder Peter Valdo in roughly 1173. Although Valdo's teachings are considered to be proto-Protestant, the Poor Men of Lyon were declared heretics by 1215 and heavily persecuted throughout Lyon and the Holy Roman Empire. By the year 1180, construction commenced on the massive Lyon Cathedral. By 1245, the First Council of Lyon had met, which was followed by the Second Council of Lyon, a meeting for high-ranking clergy from the year 1272 through 1274. This was under the auspices of reuniting the Eastern and Western churches. In the year 1300, the University of Lyon is founded, and in 1307, Lyon officially is recognized as part of France. In 1381, the first public clock, a massive timekeeper, is introduced to Lyon, and just 2 years later, we have the first mention of the world-famous Lyon astronomical clock, an advanced and superior form of Old World astrolabe and cuckoo clock, advanced in design and calculation compared to any of its contemporaries. By 1420, Lyon has authorized the Lyon Trade Fair, making Lyon a hub for international merchants and banking. By 1454, we have the first record of the absolutely massive Lyon Hospital being in operation. By 1473, we have the first printed books and documents recorded out of Lyon with an establishment of the printing press. This coincides nicely with the opening of the Lyon Stock Exchange in 1506, which itself leads to a boom in production throughout the city. One of the most sought-after commodities produced in Lyon was silk, with the first silk factories opening in 1515. By 1540, the workers of Lyon printing press go on strike, one of the earliest and most influential strikes in history. In 1548, the King of France, Henry II, and the Medici family traveled to Lyon, and by the year 1600, Henry IV and Mary de' Medici are married here. By 1617, the Charity Hospital and Almshouse is opened in Lyon. By 1651, the Old World City Hall is built. And by 1700, the Academy of Sciences opens in Lyon. Just 2 years later, in 1702, the Chamber of Commerce opens in Lyon, which is followed by the official French currency court opening in Lyon in 1704. However, we're told a majority of these improvements and creations are washed away in the Great Flood of Lyon in the year 1711. 13 years later, the Academy of Fine Arts opens in 1724. By 1731, the Public Library of Lyon begins operation, which is soon put into jeopardy, as is much of Lyon, during the Silk Workers' Rebellion of 1744. As conditions began to improve, we have a true ingenuity which appears to arise directly from the ancient streets of Lyon. First, in 1761, the Veterinary School of Lyon, one of the first veterinary academies in the entire world, opens its doors. By 1778, the rectified Scottish Rite, also known as the Order of Knights Beneficent of the Holy City, a Masonic secret order, is founded with Lyon as its headquarters. Just 6 years later, one of the first manned flights in history is launched from Lyon by the Montgolfier brothers, the first successful hot air balloon engineers and pilots in the world. By 1786, another strike is organized in Lyon, this time by the weavers. While hard to imagine, a directory of Lyon, including a map and the names and addresses of every citizen, business, etc., is completed by 1788 and known simply as the City Directory. By 1793, we have well over 100,000 residents calling Lyon home. In 1802, the Jacquard loop is invented in Lyon by Joseph Jacquard. This machine, which some see as an early precursor to modern computing, uses a system of punch cards laced together in a sequence, which in return is read by the machine, which outputs the creation of textiles. In 1803, the Lyon Museum of Fine Arts is opened, and by the year 1806, we have the Workers' Labor Court opened in Lyon. However, by March of 1814, we're told Austrians had come to power in Lyon, which is met by March of the following year, the arrival of Napoleon and his troops. Within 5 years of Napoleon landing in Lyon, the population of the city has increased to over 115,000 people in the year 1820. We're told for most of its history, Lyon, or Lugdunum, has been associated with wine, having been the official vineyard for the bishops of Lyon since the 1100s. The vineyard area was apparently abandoned by the 1500s, becoming an overgrown swamp, seldom traversed. When Beaumont launched his troops from the swamp in 1562, he called the land Pré de Bellecour. For many years after, it remained a swampland, which had a square-shaped foundation that was built centuries earlier. In 1708, Louis XIV purchased the entire landscape, constructing numerous buildings and draining the swamp. In 1825, the statue in his honor was installed. During the French Revolution, however, the square was vastly reshaped again, and many of Louis's royal creations were destroyed. Today, the Place Bellecour is in fact the largest pedestrian square in all of Europe, by definition meaning a pedestrian square without any patches of forest or trees and without any access or roads for vehicles, measuring 312 meters by 200 meters or roughly 15 acres of land. Back to the historical timeline, by 1840 we're told Lyon had another major flooding event, destroying much of the infrastructure and leading directly to the founding of the 1842 Courthouse of Lyon. This is when we come to a key moment in history. In 1852, the administrative divisions of Lyon are created. In 1856, Lyon experiences yet another flood. That same year, 1856, with a population of over 292,000 people, the Society of African Missions is founded in Lyon, which is followed by the African Museum of Lyon in 1861. At this time, the population then jumps to over 318,000 people, and in 1862, the infamous Funicular Railroads of Lyon begin full-time operation. Funiculars are probably some of the most interesting and some of my favorite pieces of old world technology. We're told a funicular is a counterbalanced, inclined cable car system, usually up a severely mountainous incline. We're told the city of Lyon had at least 5 of these funicular railway systems that were interconnected throughout the city. In 1864, the Grand Synagogue of Lyon is completed. Throughout the 1870s and 80s, the population of Lyon continues to grow as the city experiences a revitalization of the arts, which is spearheaded by literature being produced in the city. By 1886, the population of Lyon exceeds 400,000 people for the first time. In 1894, the World's Fair comes to Lyon, running from April 29, 1894 through November 11, 1894. This World's Fair is infamous, not for the architecture and technology it displayed, although this was some of the most cutting edge in the world, but rather due to the fact the French president was assassinated at the exposition, which was visited by over 3.8 million people. For this World's Fair, I'd say the greatest piece of antiquitech would have to be the metallic tower, completed in 1894, which bears a striking resemblance to the Eiffel and is currently used as a broadcast tower. In 1899, the Olympic Lyon Football Club is founded. In 1903, the Tour de France runs through Lyon. In 1905, the National Orchestra opens in Lyon, and by 1911, the population has exceeded 523,000 people, which is followed by yet another World's Fair in Lyon in 1914. Exact numbers, and even what was displayed at this World's Fair, is not completely known, as the fair was shut down with the oncoming First World War. Many of the buildings created for the World's Fair of 1914, many of them meant to be temporary, were converted into permanent structures like armories or hospitals during the First World War. From 1917 onward, we see many factories moving to Lyon, including automobile factories like Burgundians. The city continues to grow proper, welcoming new government buildings and new entertainment for the masses. Lyon is known for the cinemas it once contained, some of the earliest and most notable in France. However, in June of 1940, Lyon was occupied by German forces and subsequently evacuated. It wasn't until September of 1944 that Lyon was retaken by Allied forces. Lyon bounced back rather quickly, founding the Printing Museum of France in 1964 with a population of over 527,000 by 1968. From here, we've entered essentially modern times. The funicular railways, once vast and intricate and connecting most of Lyon, have been reduced to 2 renovated lines which still operate to this day. However, the rest of Old World Lyon's charm appears to be effervescent. We can see it oozing out of every building, every street corner, and every piece of Old World architecture that we have looked at today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, please consider liking, subscribing, and most of all, please share my work so it can be seen by as many individuals as possible. If you'd like to donate to the channel, there's a link in my YouTube profile. I appreciate all of you very, very much, and I look forward to our informed discussion about Lyon in the comment section down below. Cheers, y'all, and enjoy this panoramic photograph of Lyon, one of the most detailed and unbelievable panoramic photographs I have ever seen.